We begin in the bustling city of New York, where the noise is almost overwhelming. In a rehabilitation house, we see a group of sick people in a circle of conversation. We meet Samira, a woman who has cancer. With her kitten Frodo, she talks about her condition and what she likes to listen to. Also present with them is Ruben, who guides the conversation. After the meeting ends, Ruben asks how Samira's pain is, and she replies that she is enduring it as best as she can. They have a brief conversation, and before she leaves, Ruben invites her to go to the theater, and afterward, they can go out for pizza. Samira returns to her room, changes her medication, and after changing clothes, goes for a bus ride with the group. She admires the city as they head toward the theater. When they arrive at their destination, they sit down, and in front of Samira, a boy named Osa admires her cat, and his father Henri asks him to behave. Moments later, the puppet show begins, but Samira appears to be bored. The artist starts his performance, and it seems beautiful at first glance, but Samira feels emotionally uncomfortable and ends up leaving the theater. She goes to a convenience store to buy chocolate, when army vehicles quickly pass by in front of her. After leaving the store, Samira sees the group's guide on a phone call, and he tells her that they need to return home because something is happening in the city. Samira questions him about the pizza they had planned, but he says that this time they can't go out to eat. She shows her dissatisfaction because she wanted to go out and enjoy the meal, but Ruben is insensitive to her wish. They have a brief argument, but finally, Samira gets on the bus. The vehicle starts moving, and loud noises are heard. The group inside the bus looks out the window and sees what appear to be flaming meteors falling from the sky, with one crashing near Samira's bus, causing destruction and dust in the area. When she gets out of the vehicle, Samira looks around and moves away from the bus. Suddenly, a man is pulled into the dense dust, scaring Samira, who runs to a soldier, but unfortunately, the soldier is captured by something. Samira approaches an old lady paralyzed with fear, and looking in the same direction, she observes a terrifying creature searching for its next victim. Terrified, Samira runs, but an ambulance passes by her and is destroyed by one of the creatures, and an explosion throws Samira away. When she regains consciousness, Henri covers her mouth to keep her quiet. A large group of people is in the theater, all silent and fearful. Ruben is also present and brings back Samira's kitten. The people are terrified and paralyzed with fear when a helicopter flies over the city, broadcasting a voice message advising everyone to remain silent and wait for further instructions. Suddenly, a loud noise shakes the place, and gunshots are heard. The people watch the entrance door as something passes by outside, and unfortunately, Samira's kitten hits a bell on the ground. The echoing sound causes a creature to break through the entrance door. It is revealed that the falling objects from the sky are terrifying alien beings, bizarre, horrifying, and extremely lethal creatures. Samira holds her pet tightly, keeping it completely silent. The monstrous creature moves among the dead people and then stops right in front of Ruben, who, out of fear, holds his breath. These creatures are blind but have incredibly sensitive hearing. Luckily, the creature hears the noise of the helicopters and leaves the building. Samira, watching the door, sees hundreds of creatures passing by them. This sight terrifies Samira, but she quickly composes herself. She goes to the bathroom to clean up and notices that her medication is finished. She then heads to an inner room, where a woman listens to information on the radio about where they should evacuate to. They are also warned to stay out of the attack perimeter. Immediately after, explosions are heard, and some in the group, including Samira, go to the top of the building to observe the city. They see the bridges connecting Manhattan to New York being completely destroyed by missiles. The people are worried about this situation, and one of the men, seeing this, starts saying that they are all going to die. Worried about the man's fear and words, Henri silences him by covering his mouth. However, the man insists on speaking, so Henri is forced to kill him to ensure his family's safety. Moments later, Samira is with her friend, trying to communicate by writing in her notebook, and for a second, they try to smile. Suddenly, the lights go out, but the generator kicks in, causing noise. Quickly, Ruben goes to turn off the machine to avoid making noise. Fortunately, he succeeds, but from the darkness emerges a creature that mercilessly kills him quickly, leaving Samira stunned and saddened by the loss and forced to remain silent. At dawn, Samira slowly walks out of the theater where there is a deep crater nearby. She goes to a store to get some supplies and then takes a walk through the destroyed city. In an apparently safe place, near a water fountain, Samira feeds her kitten. Looking around, she notices two children hiding under the waterfall of the fountain and offers them chocolates. In the sky, helicopters pass by, continuing to warn survivors that they are still under attack, but the order is to head south carefully to the evacuation boats. Caring for the young ones, Samira invites them to follow her, but in total silence. While the creatures terrorize the city, jumping over buildings, the warnings continue. It has been discovered that these creatures cannot swim, so taking refuge in the water is safe. After a moment of hiding, Samira checks if the street is safe, but a creature passes by, scaring her even more. Fortunately, the creature leaves, allowing her and the children to venture out onto the street. Suddenly, several people pass by, heading to the designated location. However, Samira tells the children to follow the group while she heads in the opposite direction with her cat. She sees that the group consists of hundreds of people carrying objects that make some noise. Suddenly, nearby creatures hear the noise and attack. The people are in mortal terror, and as Samira throws herself to the ground for protection, she sees people being killed. Terrified, she takes cover under a car, but suddenly a man grabs her leg, begging for help, only to be taken by the creature. With the car lowered, Samira's foot gets stuck, preventing her escape. Fortunately, she manages to free herself and runs to find a safe place. People on the streets also run, and one of them, calling for her husband, is also taken by the monster. Having lost her cat, Samira hides in an alley, while the animal follows a mouse but stops to drink water flooding the basement. Suddenly, a man emerges from the water that nearly drowned him. His name is Eric, and he is fascinated by the kitten. Back to Samira, she reunites with her pet, which actually led Eric to find her. Moments later, Samira heads to another location, while the man follows closely, despite her asking him to go in another direction. The streets are destroyed, and survivors of the attack cover their mouths to remain silent. Samira and Eric stop in a shelter to wait out the rain, and she tells him he can talk when it rains. After introducing themselves, Samira tells Eric where he should go, but he shows he is scared and very afraid, repeating words of affirmation. He says he is very scared, and seeing the man's fear, Samira invites him to stay with her for a while. They go to her apartment, but with the key lost, the solution is to kick the door open as soon as a thunderclap echoes. Eric kicks the door open, but the man fails on the first attempt. Fortunately, he breaks down the door the second time, and once inside they search for supplies, including medicine to relieve Samira's pain. Then, she asks Eric if he has a safe place to go, but he says he doesn't live there, he only came to New York to study law, and his parents live in another city, actually in England. Samira tells Eric to go to the safe place indicated by the government, while she says she will stay and go to a pizzeria to eat the much-desired slice of pizza. Eric questions her about the world ending and her concern about eating a slice of pizza. Samira, however, asserts that it is what she wants, so Eric agrees with her wish and says he will join her. They talk about their families and dreams, and both have faced frustrations in their lives. In a moment of anger over everything they have experienced, they scream as the thunder echoes in the sky. The night passes, and at dawn, Samira wakes up and, after getting ready, leaves Eric behind and, along with her kitten, heads to the empty streets of the city. She goes to a bookstore but does not stay long before Eric finds her there. When Samira stands up, she accidentally knocks over a bookshelf, causing some books to fall to the floor, and with the noise, the nearby creatures begin to hunt for the source of the sound. Fearing they will be found, they move to another building but end up trapped in a revolving door. Eric forces the jammed door open, and the noise attracts more creatures, so they run as the beasts invade the building. The two manage to get out of the building, and the monsters continue to destroy everything around them. After moving away from the area where the alien creatures are, the duo heads to the subway to reach the next block. However, at the exit, one of the beasts arrives, blocking their way. As the monster continues to search for anything that makes noise, the duo heads to another part of the subway and notices that the tracks are flooded. However, needing to get out of there, they use a flashlight and set off in search of an exit. Further ahead, they come across a sleeping beast in a hole in the ceiling, so they slowly pass by using the sound of the water as a disguise. After passing a few meters ahead, Eric has a brief panic attack, but fortunately, Samira calms him down, as making noise would mean death for both of them from the attentive creature nearby. Eric tries to stay calm, but as he breathes deeply, his breathing attracts the beast, which immediately heads towards them. They swim quickly for their lives, and when they dive into the flooded tunnel, the creature follows them. However, it doesn't know how to swim and quickly drowns. Fortunately, the duo finds an exit, and upon emerging, they find themselves inside a church where other people are already present. Moments later, while Samira rests due to her severe pain, Eric asks what medications she needs so he can fetch them. Carefully, Eric goes out into the streets and looks for a pharmacy, but along the way, he sees the destruction caused by the creatures, noting that even a war tank was no match for them. Upon reaching the store, Eric searches for the medications and gets startled for a moment, but it's just Samira's kitten that followed him. After collecting the medicines, he returns to where he left Samira. However, the cat heads towards an area where something is being cultivated for the creatures to eat, forcing Eric to follow and retrieve it. Unfortunately, a beast appears, making the situation even more tense for Eric. The kitten climbs a metal bar, and as Eric approaches to grab it, the creature calls for others to feed. When Eric gets close to the cat, a larger beast appears nearby and listens to everything around, forcing Eric to stay still. Fortunately, the monster moves away, giving both Eric and the cat the chance to escape alive. Returning, Eric helps Samira with the medication, providing her some relief. They talk a bit more, and Samira, with sadness, tells Eric that cancer is killing her, but he encourages her by saying he'll take her to eat pizza before the worst happens. At dawn, Samira gathers her things and, with Eric, leaves the place. A few minutes later, they reach the location Samira desired, but she is surprised to see the pizzeria destroyed. Desolate, Samira sits on the ground, but Eric kneels and comforts her with a hug. Moments later, they go to a bar, and Eric asks Samira to wait there. He goes out into the streets and is delighted to find an intact pizzeria. While Samira drinks a bit, Eric returns with a pizza, making her happy to fulfill her wish. To lift the mood even more, Eric starts a magic show as if performing for an audience, using Samira as his assistant. They both go to the building's balcony and, from a distance, observe the boat evacuating the survivors who reached it. However, the monsters are alert to the vessel in the water. Moments later, the duo continues walking through the city, hoping to signal the evacuation boat. However, many creatures are alert to the boat's noise along their path. Samira and Eric, noticing that they have no way to access the river, think of something. However, not seeing a comfortable solution, Samira says goodbye to her cat and leaves him with Eric, who cries and holds the feline tightly, while Samira, who has been diagnosed with terminal cancer, grabs an iron bar and moves away from her friend. Furiously, she starts hitting cars, creating loud noises that attract the creatures. In the distance, the people on the boat, including Henri and his son, observe the commotion. He orders the boat to stop, knowing there are still people to be rescued. Gathering courage, Eric gets up and runs towards the bridge to jump into the water. Making noise, he starts being chased by the creatures. Fortunately, Eric runs quickly and jumps into the river, and the beasts don't follow as they can't swim. Samira is happy to see her kitten and friend make it to the boat safely. The people on the boat welcome the newest survivor, who is greatly relieved to have saved himself. A moment later, we see Eric holding Samira's kitten, looking at the photo of her family. She cries a lot, knowing this will be the last memory she carries before saying goodbye to the world. Due to her terminal cancer and unbearable pain, Samira gets ready, listens to music on her headphones, but at a crossroad, she removes the headphones and lets the music play freely, sealing her fate.